Doon ka lang. Okay, so good morning, class.
Good morning,
Can you,
sir.
okay, so
Morning, sir.
can you open your camera so that I can see your beautiful and handsome faces? And nauna na yung mga gwapo ng drafting at electrical at yung maganda ng FSM. Okay, so before we start, Mr. Malikdem, can you please lead the prayer?
So let's bow our head and feel the presence of the Lord. So thanks God for this blessed day and continue bless us in our school works, school activities, and other work. We will bless. Should I say? I'm happy because we have God just like you and mahal ka namin sa bawat araw. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So thank you, Mr. Malikdem. So um, before that, I have some reminders for you. So the first reminder, be on time. So if our time is 10 to 11, so before 10 a.m., you must be in our meeting. So second, wear appropriate clothes. So t-shirt will do. Then the third one, keep your microphone on mute. So once I call you, of course, unmute your microphone. And if I'm not talking to you, please mute keep mute your microphone. So the fourth one, be responsible for using the chat box. So use only the chat box in class related matters only. If you have suggestions, comments, or any problems encountered, so just freely use the chat box. So the last one, of course, be fully present. So listen attentively on our discussions and never use any social medias while on class, especially Facebook, YouTube, or even the Messenger. So are we clear with that, class?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you. So I remember that I gave you some assignment last time. So your assignment will be passed after our meeting. So time for review. So for our previous topic, who among you can recall it? So yes, Mr. De La Cruz, what is our previous topic all about?
Sir, our previous topic is all about electrical materials.
Okay, so our previous topic is all about electrical materials. So Mr. JR, give at least two examples of electrical materials.
Sir, the first one is conduit and junction boxing.
Yes, so thank you, Mr. De La Cruz. So what JR De La Cruz said was the examples of electrical materials such as conduits, junction box, receptacles, utility box, so and so on. So now you are now familiar, sorry, with the different electrical materials. So before we move on our new topic, let's have first an activity. So this activity is entitled Four Picks, One Word. So I know this is very familiar to you because it came from the game which is the Four Picks, One Word. So for the instruction of the activity, Mr. Fernandez, kindly please read the instruction.
Instruction. The teacher will randomly call a student and the student will guess what specific word fits with the pictures presented.
Okay, so are we clear with the instruction, class?
Sir,
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
sir.
sir.
so
On, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so are you ready for our activity for today?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for the first picture, what is this? What word fits with the picture? So, Mr. Tirao.
Electrical tools, sir.
Okay, so good. So, tools or electrical tools. So, next, Mr. Malikdem.
Electrical equipment, sir.
Mm-hmm. Electrical equipment or equipment. Next, yes, Mr. De La Cruz.
Sir.
Mr. De La Cruz. Oh, he's having a bad connection.
Sir.
So, okay, so Mr. Fernandez.
Wrenches, sir.
Okay, wrenches or wrench. Very good. Next, yes, Miss Apales.
Hammer, sir.
Okay, very good. Got the correct answer. Then, okay, so what have you noticed with the answers given in our activity? Yes, Mr. Aquino. Oh,
Yes, sir. I think sir, it is more on tools, sir.
okay, so very good. So, the answers given are related to our topic for today, which is basic electrical tools and equipment. So, basic electrical tools and equipment are the tools and equipment that uses by the electrician. So, before we go deeper to our topic, let's define first what is tools and what is equipment. So, tools. Can you please read, Mr. Miranda?
Sir, ano po yung babasahin?
Tools.
Tools.
Yes.
Are tools manipulated by hands without using electrical energy such as plier, a screwdriver, hammer, wrenches, and others.
Okay. So, thank you, Mr. Miranda. So, tools are hand tools that usually are manipulated by only by our hands and not using any electrical energy. So the only energy we use here is our strength and our force. So examples of tools are pliers, screwdrivers, hammers, wrenches, and others. So we will be tackling the different types of tools later on. So next, equipment. So equipment are tools manipulated by our hands and with the use of electrical energy. So kanina, tools is only manipulated by our hands. But the equipment is manipulated by our hands and with the use of electrical energy. So examples of equipment are electrical drill, grinders, and etc. So tools. Let's move to different types of tools. So the first type of tools are screwdrivers. So number one, standard slot or flat screwdriver is a tool used for turning with a slot head, bolt, or screw. So when we say slot head, the other name for this is flathead. So you can see in the screw or bolts, it has a negative sign. So when we see screw that has a negative sign, we can use to loosen or tighten it with a standard slot or flat screwdriver. So the next one, Phillips screwdriver. Mr. Malikdam, kindly please read.
Phillips screwdriver is a tool used for turning with Philip head, bolt, or screw.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Malikdam. So kanina it is a flat screwdriver. Now it is a Phillips screwdriver. So it is um used to loosen or tighten bolts with a cross sign or cross head. So next, types of wrenches and their uses. So number one, open end wrench. So is a tool used for working with hex head, bolts, nuts, or screw. So um, they call it open end because in every end of the tool is open. So that's why they call it open end wrench. So they usually use this to loosen and tighten hex head bolts and nuts. So next, close end or box end wrench. So Mr. Pereira, can you please read the um, close end or box end wrench?
Yes, sir. Close end or box end wrench refers to the tool with flat interior surfaces so that it is less likely to slip off when working with hex head, bolts, nuts, or screws when added torque is applied.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Malikdam. So, excuse me. So close end or box end, they call it box because it is like the end or the end of the stool is like box. Then it is closed. That's why they call it close end or box and wrench. So they also use this to tighten or loosen bolts and nuts. So they also usually use this when added torque is applied or um added some force when loosening or tightening some bolts and nuts because it is less likely to slip off or bumitaw doon sa head ng bolts. Unlike the open end na when you applied some torque or force, it will slip off. So it is better to use closed end or box end wrench when the bolts or nuts um, need some torque to loose or tighten it. So next is the combination wrench. So it's a tool with an open end and a box end. That's why they call it combination. It is combination of closed end and open end wrench. So as you can see in the picture, in the left side, it is the open end. Then the right side, it is the box end wrench. So same as the closed end and box wrench, it is also used to tighten and loosen some bolts and nuts. So next, adjustable wrench. So it's a tool used for working with hex, head, bolts, nuts, and screw of various sizes. So it is like a um closed end and open end wrench, but it this one is adjustable. You can adjust it with different side, unlike the closed end and box end that it has a fixed sizes. So next, pipe wrench is a tool used for working with pipe fittings and other rounded surfaces. So pipe wrench is usually or only used in pipes. So they use this to loosen or tighten the fittings and some connectors of the tubes. So next, types of pliers and their uses. So number one, slip joint. It's a tool used for holding or turning apart where surface marring is not a problem. So they also use this to hold and loose or tighten some bolts na bumilog, yung loose thread kanga nila sa Tagalog. So next is the long nose plier. So Mr. Malikdam, kindly please read.
So, long nose plier. Is it a tool used for holding small nuts, screws, or for reaching hard-reached places?
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Malikdam. So long nose is also used to holding small nuts or bolts and screws, and it also used to for reaching hard places like example you are um fixing some aircon. So aircon has a small places, and when your bolts and nuts are nahulog doon, you can use the long nose because it has a long tip, so you can easily reach the bolts or nuts. So next is the diagonal cutter. Yes, Mr. Tirao, can you please read?
Diagonal cutter. It's a tool used for cutting wire only.
So diagonal cutter is a tool used for cutting wires. So when we are cutting or splicing wires, we can use this diagonal cutter. So remember class, this is the diagonal cutter. So the long nose is only used for holding. So this one is only used for cutting wire. So next, ball peen hammer. So it's a tool used for hammering metal such as punches and chisels. So we use ball peen hammer in some hammering punches and chisels. In Tagalog is yung bangbang. So next, soft face hammer. So Miss Apales, kindly please read.
Soft face hammer is a tool made of plastic, rawhide, or material that will not mark or break other tools or materials being hammered.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Apales, sorry. So if you want to hammer some parts of the example, the aircon, and you don't want to damage it, you can use this soft face hammer. So the face of this hammer is a rubber, so it won't leave some mark or damage on the place you hammered. So that is the soft face hammer. Next is the claw hammer. Yes, Mr. Fernandez, can you please read?
Claw hammer is a tool used for driving or pulling nails.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Fernandez. So claw hammer, it is dual purpose. You can use it to hammer a nails, and you can also use this to pull nails. So that is the claw hammer. They call it claw because of the other side of this hammer is like a claw. Yan. So it is claw hammer. Next, socket set and their uses. So number one, ratchet handle. Mr. Aquino, kindly please read.
Socket set and their uses. So, first one is ratchet handle. It is used to drive handle socket that fits on so that tightening or loosening motion can be limited to a short back and forth motion.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Aquino. So ratchet handle. So this is only used to drive the socket. So the socket is the other part of this socket set. So this is only the handle. So it is used to tighten and loosen some bolts and nuts. So next is the socket. So kanina it is the handle. Now this is the socket where you insert it to the head of the ratchet handle, then you can, and you have some button or gano'n, yung parang selector where you can tighten or loosen the bolts or screws or nuts. So next is the extension. Yes, Mr. Ferrer, can you please read?
Extension. It refers to a rod that extends from the socket to the handle to extend the socket into hard-to-reach places.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Ferrer. So extension, when there is a hard to reach bolts and nuts you want to loose or tighten, you can use this extension. So it has different sizes. So depending on the situation you are in, if um, sobrang lalim nung nuts, you can use the longer one. But if hindi naman gaano, you can use the middle one. Okay, so next is the universal joint. So refers to device that fits between a handle, of course the ratchet handle, and a socket to permit the socket to be turned to any one of several angles. That's why they call it universal joint. So because you can loosen or tighten the bolts and nuts in different angles. So if the nuts are is in under the aircon or in the side, and it is masikip yung parte, you can also use this as a connector to the extension into the socket. So so next is the different types of equipment. So number one, equipment. Yes, Mr. Malikdem, can you please read?
Equipment, electric drill. Electric drills are primarily used for drilling circular holes in materials or for inserting screws and other treated fasteners into materials.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Malikdem. So the first example of the equipment is the electric drill. So we use this electric drill to drill some holes or bumutas ng mga holes in the walls, um, woods, ganyan. So it is electrically operated drill. So we have the manual, but it is medyo matrabaho. So we have the portable electric drill where we have the battery, and we have also the cord, yung sinasaksak. So next is electric grinder. So Miss Apalis, kindly please read.
Electric grinder. You can cut metal, aluminum, concrete, bricks, pavers, wood, and other dense materials. You can sand and polish different surfaces to sharpen tools and build materials.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Apales. So electric grinder, we use this to cut metals, like aluminums, woods, and we also use this to make some hole in the walls when pag naglalagay tayo ng mga tubo sa pagdadaanan ng wires. So we use this. So it has also different blades. We have cutting blades. We have the grinder, yung pampatalas ng mga kutsilyo, ganyan. So, okay, so next So for our next activity, so Mr. Tirao, kindly please read.
The teacher will give situations, and after that, that is the students will identify what is the right tools or equipment to be used in the given situation.
So are we clear with the instruction class?
Yes, sir.
So I will be giving some situations on you, then you will identify what tools or equipment to be used in the given situation. So for the first situation, read and answer, Mr. Ferrer.
Situation number one. Argel and his group mates are having their group activity in their subject, electrical installation and maintenance. They are assigned to build a simple circuit. Then one of his group mates asks Argel to cut the wires. What specific tool should he use to cut properly the wire?
Okay, so what's your answer, Mr. Ferrer? What specific tool should he use to cut properly the wire? You can call a friend to answer. Okay, so Mr. Malikdem.
Sir, can I call a friend, sir?
Okay, Mr. Malikdem.
Mr.
Okay,
Palikdem
sir.
po.
I will read the situation first, sir. So Argel and his group mate are having their group activity in their subject electrical installation and maintenance. They are assigned to build a simple circuit. Then one of his group mates asks Argel to cut the wires. What specific tool should he use to cut properly the wire? For me, sir, I'm going to use side cutting pliers, sir, and uh, uh, pliers, sir, for handling, sir.
Okay, so very good, Mr. Malikdem. So remember, class, when cutting a wire, the tool you will use is the side cutting plier. So next, situation number two. Can you please read, Mr. Fernandez?
Sir, JR and Raymond are given a task by teacher in electrical. They are assigned to check the screw in the utility box in their mock-up. If it is properly tightened, then they saw that there is a loose screw. The screw has a cross sign in the head. What specific tool should JR and Raymond use to tighten the cross head screw?
Okay, so what's your answer, Mr. Fernandez?
Phillips screwdriver, sir.
Okay, very good. So when you see a screw and it has a cross sign in the head part, um, the tool you will use to tighten or loosen this screw is the Phillips screwdriver. So it is different with the flathead, which is the screw has a negative sign on the head. So are there any questions, class?
None, sir.
Okay,
And
so
sir,
thank you.
Answer.
So if there is no questions, I will be the one to ask you a question. So for the first question, read and answer. Mr. Malikdem.
Sir, we need to study electrical tools and equipment and their uses for us to complete every electrical task, sir, at on time, sir.
Okay, so very good. So we need to study electrical tools and equipment so that, um, as Christian said, um, to um, to finish early the our work. So next question. Yes, Mr. Fernandez.
How important is electrical tools and equipment in the workplace?
Hmm. Your
Sir, it
answer.
is important. Electrical tools and equipment are important in the workplace so that we have uh, things to be used when we have a task in the workplace, sir.
Okay, so very good. So Mr. Danjo is right. So electrical tools and equipment is very important in the workplace so that we can properly work, work in the tasks given to us by our teachers or even our supervisors. So okay, so I hope you understand our topic. So now I will give you a short quiz. So the quiz is will be uploaded via Forms and read carefully the instruction. So it is 1 to 20 items. 1 to 10 is multiple choice and the remaining 10 points is for the essay. So can you okay, so can you will start now for your quiz? Okay, so are we all done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
I'll be checking again your quiz later on and I will be giving you your scores in our group chat. So before you leave, I have some assignment for you. So Miss Apales, can you please read your assignment?
Search on the following. What is mesh?
Okay, so Miss Apales is having a bad connection. So assignment, search on the following. So number one is measurement. Then second is list down measuring tools and instruments. So this assignment will be passed on our next meeting. So are we clear with that class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so before you leave, I will download first your attendance. Okay, thank you. So I have some Bible verse for you na sana itatak nyo sa ano nyo palagi. So, Proverbs 16:3. So, commit to the Lord whatever you do and your plans will succeed. So, thank you for
Amen,
listening.
sir.
Okay, so thank you for listening. You can now leave the meeting.
Sir.
Isa,
Okay,
isa.
thank you.
Rinig ba ako? Rinig ba ako? Rinig ba ako? Rinig ba ako?
Sir.